I have been accused over the years in the critical press of providing false hope to people. People will call, and I'll be on a talk show on the radio someplace in the world, and someone will call in who's been diagnosed with a terminal illness of some kind, and I will talk to them about not buying into the diagnosis. About why would you just listen to a group of people who have a vested interest in convincing you of this impending doom in your life, and the law that has ever allowed any miracle to ever take place in the history of humanity is still on the books. It hasn't been repealed. So that energy, whatever it is, whoever has ever healed themselves of a diagnosis of terminal illness, used the same kind of energy that is in you. And so people say, well, that's providing false hope and so on. And I remember, again, to speak about Michelangelo, I mean, these people that I selected for, or that selected me for Wisdom of the Ages, I feel, after studying their lives in depth and looking at not only what they had to say, but what they were like, I mean, I feel like you're talking about my grandfather or something when you speak about Michelangelo. And again, in Florence, when we went to Florence, I said, I'm just going to go see the statue of David. And I thought, well, I'll just look at this statue. Everybody has to see David.
Yes.
And I walked in there, and you go through this long corridor, and you see all of these slaves on either side that are coming out of the concrete that were all sculpted by Michelangelo. And then you come into this room that's all lit, and then there's this statue, this magnificent statue, and it's 18 feet high. And it is the most astounding thing I've ever seen. And I'm not a big art critic or even going to art shows and sculpture and all that. I enjoy it, but it's not something that I have a passion about.
Yes.
Well, 4 hours later, Michael, I was still standing in front of that statue. My wife and my 3 daughters were out climbing El Duomo and buying shoes and doing all the things that you do when you're in Italy. Right. And they came back and they said, Dad, come on, we have to leave. And I felt like I couldn't leave that place. It was such a beautiful experience. I mean, you can see every vein in in this thing, and it's just a magnificent experience. So when they ask, there's this wonderful quote that they ask Michelangelo, how could you have created such a perfect specimen of sculpture from one piece of marble? His famous quote is that David was already in the marble. I just chipped away the excess.
Yes.
And that there's a David inside each and every one of us.
Yes.
And this idea of if you're, the greater danger is not that our hopes are too high and we fail to reach them, it's that they are too low and we do. And most people see themselves in terms, they don't see, I think you should see yourself as a saint. And I think a person ought to be envisioning themselves as capable of doing anything. I think it's possible to excel in every area of life. That is, you don't have to sort of restrict yourself to one area. I think you can enjoy going to a National Football League game in the afternoon and going to the ballet in the evening.
Yes.
And people say, well, you're a speaker. Usually speakers, and you get paid a lot for speaking. So usually speakers are not good writers, or because one is introverted and supposedly one is extroverted. And I have often thought, why can't you be a really fine writer and a great speaker as well?
Sure.
And why can't you be a great athlete and a poet as well? Why not? And most of these people, like Goethe and Michelangelo and Da Vinci and Shakespeare and Pope and so many of these people, these were people who were masters at 1,000 different things. Isn't that interesting? How we, like in medicine now, I mean, now you have a specialist who specializes in the right finger,
Right, exactly. Yes.
We have hand specialists, we have foot specialists, and nose specialists, and imagine going to school for years and studying only the hand.
Yes.
Whereas here was Da Vinci or Michelangelo, and they studied, they were anatomists. I mean, they studied anatomy, and were medical people. They studied the way that Michelangelo learned about, how to do sculpture was by examining cadavers. They would literally steal the cadavers and go through, and he would examine them. And it's like when you discover the greatness that's in yourself, and not restricting yourself in any way, and not enough of us can think of ourselves as being able to excel in all areas and to have high hopes about virtually everything. Because high hopes is not just a song that Frank Sinatra sang with a bunch of kids. High hopes is being able to visualize and see for yourself what it is that you'd like to be able to accomplish in your life.